Hello, my name is Ole Vetaas. I represent a special issue in front of Biogeography. Its title has Elevational Gradients and Mountain Biodiversity. It will come in this month, September. The elevational gradient is very special because the temperature decreases gradually as you are climbing higher. So in a way, it replicates the nice zonation of biomes from the tropical areas to the Arctic tundra. So I will actually elaborate on this issue later this month and talk more about the theoretical and methodological issues in a funk lecture. Here I will present the papers where I have given an editorial. John Birks made a very nice talk last year in the von Humboldt week, and he have written up a paper based on his talk. And then in addition, there are 6 more like research papers, one group from Italy in the Upper Alps. There is a Himalayan group with Bhatta and me. There is a group also in the Eastern Himalayas with Dewan, Hernandez-Rojas, and the Michael Kessler's group have a nice paper from Colombia to Mexico. And then there is a group, Eibes is the first author, that is from the La Palma in one of the Canary Islands. Then we have a Peter's group, Meyer is the first author on the Mount Kilimanjaro. So we are representing actually all continents except Australia. So as I said, John Bergs wrote up a nice paper, A Humboldt Legacy, High Elevation Limits and Ecology of Vascular Plants. I will just give one little example here. For instance, Saxifraga oppositifolia, growing in the coldest place on Earth for vascular plant growth, and a record in North America. But strangely enough, few other Saxifraga have such records. Another thing John points out is that there is recently found that some alpine plants have very special roots who can adapt to this short growing season. Then you have the Italian group, Alexandro Chiarello, and as I said, they are looking at the Upper Alps and investigating a hotspot based on data from a published flora. So they found that the native species decline with elevation. The endemic species has a peak around 1200 meters. The alien are decreasing, and there's various responses if you divide them up to various rancher life forms or functional traits, as it's used to be called today. Then there is my group, where Bhatta is the first author. The title is A Pan-Himalayan Test of Predictions on Plant Species Richness based on a primary production and water energy dynamics. We aim to compare net primary production and water energy dynamics. Which of them explains species richness best? And this is also based on published floras. Data from all over Himalayas divided into 6 political sectors. We find that the water energy dynamics is very much better than the net primary production, although they both explains a high percentage of the deviance. Anyhow, water energy dynamics is a more mechanistic explanation of species richness based on the first principle of thermodynamics. Then we have another Himalayan group from Sikkim. Acharya is the corresponding author, and they ask the question, do subgroups of butterflies display different elevational distribution patterns in the Eastern Himalaya, India? So they have empirical data from 6 different sampling transects, and they find the following. The different columns represent different type of species richness estimates, and the rows are different subgroups. So yeah, as you can see, it's all very linear, decrease with elevation. They also use environmental variables, and they find out that annual actual evapotranspiration is the best experimentary variable. This way of you doing evapotranspiration is based on the Turk formula, which is actually very much in corresponds with the precipitation. Then we have a group, Michael Kessler, and the first author is Hernandez-Rojas. They look at phylogenetic diversity of ferns, and they reveal different patterns of niche conservatism and habitat filtering between epiphytes and terrestrial assemblages. So they do not only look at climate, they also look at evolution. And they try to compare epiphytes versus the terrestrial assemblages. And they have 11 different elevation transects from Colombia in the south up to Mexico. And one of the key findings is that epiphytes are strongly influenced by climatic factors, whereas the terrestrial ferns are not. Bit surprise. Sorry, interesting paper. Then we have this paper, which is a spin-off from the science school in La Palma, in one of the Canary Islands, led by Carl Bayer-Kundlein and Anke Jentsch. Eibes is the first author, and Severin Earle is the senior author here. They look at co-occurrences and the frequency in vegetation patches and how they decrease with a harsh edge along an arid volcanic elevation gradient. So what they find is actually a bit of the opposite. They find a number of individuals per patch and co-occurrences increased the elevation towards a more moist or benign end of the gradient. Then we have a paper from Peter's group, and Meyer is the first author. They look at seasonal variation in the ecology of tropical cave nesting Hymenoptera at Kilimanjaro. So the cave nesting Hymenoptera show different seasonal patterns in the colline, that's the lowland, and the submountain zone. And the seasonal pattern in the lowland of these insects were partly explained by climatic conditions, which again control the flora. So an attempt to conclude for all these diverse papers, these extensive temperature elevation gradients on large mountain ranges are extant in situ natural experiments. And the study also demonstrates the importance of both thermal energy as such and thermal energy as a regulator of liquid water, which is a core vital resource for biodiversity. This special issue illustrates some of the various scientific and biodiversity treasures found on these investigated global hotspots. And many of these hotspots represent deep time evolutionary history well worth conserving in an area of rapid global change. So then it's just to encourage you to read this special issue, and thank you for listening, and thanks to Rob Whittaker, who was the chief editor of this issue, and Karen Fuller for technical assistance. Thank you.